What is going on, everybody? I'm back today because it is getting very close to Christmas, and I feel like for the past couple years, I've reviewed a ton of like Christmas horror movies, talked about a few Christmas films, but I've never made a video talking about my favorite Christmas movies, and I thought it would be fun this year since I didn't review a ton of Christmas movies throughout the holiday season, that I would just talk about some of the pivotal important staple Christmas movies in my life that I feel like I constantly revisit and always enjoy getting to around the holiday season, because I know everybody has like their fair share of favorites, but I have some that are just constantly in the rotation that I love to revisit throughout the years. And this isn't probably going to be all of the ones that I love, but it's just a list of some of the best. And these aren't just movies with snow in the background, these are movies that have Christmas at the focal point somewhere, or that it takes place around Christmas time. And I'm looking forward to telling you some of these today. So first up is going to be a newer movie, but that's Alexander Payne's The Holdovers. As soon as I watched this movie, I immediately fell in love with it, and it instantly became a Christmas classic for me. Not only do I feel like it perfectly encapsulates the time of year, but I love Christmas movies that have realistic drama, not ones that are just like sappy, Hallmarky type of Christmas movies, but ones that feel like real life. And what I love about this movie is the characters all feel like real people, and the interactions with one another, it's just so well done. Everything about this movie, from the cinematography to the utilization of music to the incredible performances, it's just something that hooks you in from the very beginning until the very end. And it invokes this feeling that only a specific kind of movie can. And it's a movie that ever since I watched the first time, I just never stopped thinking about it, and I want to revisit it all year, not just around Christmas time. There's something about it that just feels so comforting. And that's what I love about this type of a movie, any kind of type of Christmas film. And this is a movie that if you have not watched, you're really missing out. Please watch it. You'll love it. Up next is Henry Selick's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I have a huge Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo on my leg. This is a movie that means the world to me. From a very young age, the very first time that I saw The Nightmare Before Christmas, I was completely and totally enamored by it. And I think that that's because it mixes, warm-hearted emotion with like strange, weird, creepy characters. And I love that. I love that all of the characters in this, they're like weird outcasts that live in this Halloween town that that Jack Skellington wants to embrace this holiday that's all about bringing love and cheer to people, but all he knows is how to scare people. So he takes what he's passionate about and tries to share it with other people, and obviously it doesn't work out for the better. But I love this movie. I think not only is it one of the most beautiful stop motion animation films ever made, it has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, and it's a Halloween and a Christmas movie, which are two of my favorite holidays, and I appreciate how they mesh together. And it's just similar to what I said about The Holdovers. It invokes this very specific feeling to me personally whenever I watch it. It always brings a smile to my face, and it's something that I rewatch a couple times a year. I just love it so much, and if you've never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas, it's one of the greatest stop motion animation films ever made. Up next is A Charlie Brown Christmas, and I know this is only 25 minutes long, but it's probably one of the most important pieces of media to me personally. When I grew up as a kid, Peanuts was such a huge part of my life, and it has been even to now. I love Charles Schultz. I read those comics growing up, and what I love so much about Charles Schultz is, even from early on, the way that he depicts depression and loneliness and mental health issues through his comics. It was just so ahead of its time. Really, like, Charles Schultz truly was a genius, and it always blows me away whenever I revisit A Charlie Brown Christmas, because I always wonder if I'll go back to it one year and that it'll ever feel like dated or out of touch, and it never does. It just constantly, I go back and revisit it, and I'm just blown away by how beautiful it still is, because the entire central focus is Charlie Brown. It gets to Christmas time and he's incredibly depressed, and he doesn't feel the holiday spirit. And I feel like there's so much of that in day-to-day life, where like the world we live in is pure and utter chaos, and it just constantly seems like things get worse. And so when the time of year comes around that is supposed to bring you up and make you feel good, sometimes you just don't experience that. And what I love is the way that in Peanuts it kind of showcases the little things, like getting that tree that even though it's super ugly and it's small and it only has one ornament, it's trying to bring that joy to you and trying to make you feel some sort of emotion. And I think there's so much beauty in that, and there's so many little things throughout. And it does have, the heavy-handed religious monologue from Linus, but I think that showcases just all of the things that come about throughout Christmas time, and I appreciate how it is impactful for such a short thing, 25 minutes long, and it really conveys a very powerful message about like dealing with that loneliness feeling around Christmas, and not feeling the joy and the warmth that necessarily comes with the holiday, and then people coming together to kind of build you up, try to help you remember that. And I love that so much about Charlie Brown Christmas. It's something I think about every single year, and I rewatch it without fail every year. Up next, taking a bit of a darker turn, is Bob Clark's Black Christmas, one of my favorite Christmas horror movies of all time, probably one of the most brilliant slasher films ever made. Not only is it shot in such an incredibly beautiful way, some of the best performances in a horror movie. I feel like all of the characters are extremely interesting to watch. They all have very distinct personalities, which makes the film a very easy and immersive experience to watch. I love the POV stuff from the killer at the beginning of the movie. The kills are gnarly and uncomfortable. It's just everything about that movie is atmosphere. The way it builds atmosphere and tension, the way it utilizes its sound design to create a very eerie and ominous atmosphere is something I really appreciate. It's just truly one of the best Christmas movies ever made, even though it's a horror, violent Christmas movie that I know a lot of people protested around the time that it came out. But I love it very dearly, and if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen this movie, you need to put it on your priority to watch it immediately. It does have a couple of remakes. The remake that was made in the early 2000s is actually a very worthwhile watch. It's not nearly as good as the original, but I like it for its own reasons. And the 2019 one is awful. Don't waste your time on it. It's just one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Up next is Home Alone. I know this movie has its fair share of flaws, but this was a movie that I watched a ton when I was a kid, and it still brings me a ton of joy as an adult. It's ridiculous, it's goofy, it's nonsensical, it has a great lead performance from Macaulay Culkin. I just think there's something so joyous about it, and as a kid, what I really like is if you think about being a kid stranded behind from your parents, and these people are trying to break into your house, the booby traps that Kevin sets up, all of the different things that he does, it's kind of from a child's perspective, like the kind of ridiculous things that you would try to approach as a kid. And that's what I like. It's inflated, like obviously throughout the years, it's like, oh, half this stuff would have killed these burglars, but it's meant to be ridiculous and over the top and fun. I love the music in this movie. I think it's perfect. It accommodates the tone and mood of the film so well. Everyone in this, I love Joe Pesci in this movie so much. He completely cracks me up every time I watch it. Daniel Stern also, like just the chemistry that the two of them have is really great. I love the direction that it goes in the end of the movie. It's just a lot of fun. It's one I used to be able to quote from start to finish pretty consistently, and I feel like I revisit this, if not every year, every other year. Next is Michael Dougherty's Krampus. I love this movie. Like I talked about with Black Christmas, this movie is a much darker look at the holiday, but I appreciate that. I feel like, when the holidays come around, a lot of people have very conflicting feelings around the holidays, and this kind of showcases the darker side of Christmas. I love the opening scene that just shows the people on Black Friday like beating the crap out of each other. Like, it's just so brilliantly put together and kind of shows exactly what Michael Dougherty is trying to convey with this movie. The performances are all really good. I like all of the family members. I think they feel like a real family, even in some of the ridiculous moments where the dialogue is kind of extreme. Love the creature design in this movie. It's truly horrifying. It really is. Like, just the isolation of all of it, and like the uncertainty of the situation as to what's going to happen to you. There's just so much to like about this movie, and it's one that I always look forward to revisiting every single year. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to do one more. I could have probably picked about 20 movies, but the most important Christmas movie to me of all time is It's a Wonderful Life. This is a movie that not only is one of the most important Christmas movies to me, but one of the movies that made me fall in love with cinema. I love Jimmy Stewart's performance moments in this movie. It always moves me to tears every time I watch it. I think there's so much beauty in what this movie is trying to say, and how many people, experience a part of their lives where they just don't feel like they matter or that their lives mean much. And I feel like at the Christmas holiday, a lot of times those feelings can be intensified depending on the relationship with your family or where you're kind of at in that moment. And the way Jimmy Stewart portrays this guy who literally has spent his entire life trying to take care of other people, and he has given up a lot to get to where he is, and kind of sacrificed his hopes and dreams. And he's gotten good things along the way, his relationship with Mary and all of the different things that he has done to get to where he needs to be. But he finally just he's over it. There's a breaking point for every single person. And I think showcasing that breaking point, but then having someone remind you like why your life is important, there's just so much about that that's incredibly special. And I love the way this movie is shot. I love the direction that it goes in the third act. I don't think there's ever been a time that I've watched this movie that I haven't cried. It really just moves me emotionally every time I see it, and I think it is an essential Christmas movie that everyone needs to watch. So, what are some of your favorite Christmas movies? Let me know in the comments. These are just some of the ones that I watch every single year, but I just wanted to make a video listing some of them. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.